Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your pharaoh of physical media, your viceroy of verisimilitude, your sommelier of cinema, Robert Meyer Burnett, coming at you with episode 2 of Let's Get Physical Media. And you know what that means? That my compatriot, my partner in crime, all the way from Saarbrücken, Deutschland, is here. How are you, sir?
Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Dieter here I am, rock you like a hurricane, with episode 2 of our show, Let's Get Physical Media. And Rob, should I start already with a nice transition from our last episode? Because I have watched this piece called African Kung Fu Nazis.
So you actually watched African Kung Fu Nazis?
Yes, and even if we already discussed it, our show is not a review show of movies. But since some people asked about it, perhaps I would give my 2 cents about it.
Well,
Let
me ask you. Last week you said there is good trash and there is bad trash. What kind of trash is African Kung Fu Nazis?
It's really hard to explain. On the film side, it is trash. But I laughed a lot. So actually, I can't quite rate the movie, because on the film side, it's really bad. But I laughed a lot from the idea that Adolf has survived fleeing to Ghana in a U-boat with his Japanese compatriot and wanted to build the Fourth Reich now with Japanese karate skills, but he didn't count on the African Kung Fu people in Ghana.
You know what? That sounds like the kind of plot I can get behind. I mean, if it's funny to me that Hitler would go to Africa to build the Fourth Reich. That kind of seems counterproductive, but at least it shows that perhaps he's broadened his racial perspective. So that's good. He's become a little bit more woke. So I suppose we can say that's a win.
That's a win. That was the transition number 1 from our episode last week. And the second transition, I told you about, I was very excited to get, and I finally got it, Rob.
Oh, look at that.
Series 6 has come on time, Tuesday, as the release date was. And if you buy something like this, or the PS5, with the disc drive, even if you're a pure streamer or just a video player, you can become a collector too, because you can watch the discs on this device.
Yeah, no one has an excuse anymore, like, oh, I don't have a player.
No. Because you only need one of this or the PS5, and you're already good to go.
My first Blu-ray player was my PlayStation 3. I loved it. It worked great as a Blu-ray player.
It was really fast at the time.
Yeah.
Loading the discs. It was really a good player, the PS3.
Now, let me ask you, what are your first impressions of the new Xbox?
It's really, for me, the speed is really the big seller of the thing. The loading times are very fast. The console, if you start the console, it's really from the SSD drive that the console has, that make it faster for loading, so you don't have to wait, make a cup of coffee until the game is ready. That is really the big plus of it, I would say. Because at the moment there's not really a big new game coming out that what I call a system seller. System seller for me is if you buy the console only to play that game, that for me is a system seller. And at the moment it's not really has that, but everything runs smoothly, and it's a nice device.
Now, is there a game that's coming out for Xbox that you are particularly interested in getting?
I'm looking for Cyberpunk 2077.
Right, of course.
It's coming out, and I hope it will not get delayed again.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would come out next week, so now it's will come out December, and I'm really looking forward to it. But it's a multi-platform title. It comes out for PS5, so it's not Xbox specific title. But if you got something like this, you have all in one package. If you take it.
Now, did you hook up? Did you look at any 4K discs or any Blu-rays on it?
I just checked one 4K disc, Showgirls, just to see if what the noise is when the Xbox plays a 4K, and it was not that more than I was used to from a Panasonic player. I would have to say it was really okay for me. The disc played very fine, got no problem with it. I was just checking for the noise, what noise would the Xbox make if you put in a 4K discs.
Well, that's exciting. So everybody that complains that they no longer have players, if you get a new Xbox and you get the new PlayStation 5, which I want a new PlayStation 5, but I was not one of those people that jumped on the bandwagon right away and pre-ordered it. And
you would be lucky if you could pre-order it, even if you would have jumped on the bandwagon.
I'll wait. You know, I'm in no rush. But I definitely want to get. I skipped the PlayStation 4, unfortunately, and I'm going to get a PlayStation 5.
But since both consoles are backwards compatibility, you always can still play stuff from the PS4 that you haven't played, like Last of Us 2, as an example.
Yeah. Well, Dieter, as everyone knows, we have a structure to this show that we started, and I guess I will ask you, sir. Why don't you start us out? What did you acquire in the last week since our last show?
Let's do first stuff that's not for me, stuff that's for you.
I love that. I love that that's part of the show now. I think that's fantastic.
But your Rob Lady Killers.
Oh, okay. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is one of the Studio Canal. They already did Kind Hearts and Coronets, the great Alec Guinness film, and I really wanted to get Lady Killers as well. It's one of the Ealing Studios movies, so wow, thank you for that. Again, I can't get those shipped to America because Amazon UK, for whatever reason, will not ship to me anymore.
Well, perhaps it could be that you didn't order any of that new fancy Star Trek stuff.
What is it really Star Trek though? Really?
No. But it was strange to see David Cronenberg in the last episode.
I know that was my favorite part. David Cronenberg and Michelle Yeoh. Come on, what's not to love about that?
The second one, as you love your media books, Cradle and Handle. I haven't seen the movie. Hope it's good.
Now that was directed by Oz Perkins, who is Anthony Perkins of Psycho fame's son.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah.
And the movie has a strange format choice. I think you know that. It comes in 1:55:1. Strange.
Which is strange. But again, this is the only 4K release for the world so far, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Germany.
Very exciting. It's great to get these 4K releases. It's amazing to me that, again, only Germany is releasing things in 4K.
Especially such little titles.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a big blockbuster from a big studio.
Yeah.
And I have to look that I get a package ready because your stuff is piling up at the moment. So I'm lucky. So we're lucky that I hope that your Dawn of the Dead box comes directly to you. And I don't have to pack that separately.
We'll see.
Now the next one, I will have to do a little runaround and do a little German teachings. Last in episode 1, you learned the German word Schnapszahl. If you have the same number continuously. So 55 would be a Schnapszahl, or your favorite, 666. The number of the beast is your favorite. And there's another German saying that goes, Die Deutschen kaufen nicht gerne die Katze im Sack. Translated, the Germans don't like to buy a cat in a bag, the cat in the bag. I have to Google it, where it came from. It was way earlier, when you traded stuff and you wanted to buy a rabbit or a pig, and you got a bag but didn't look in it, got home, opened it, it wasn't a pig or a rabbit, it was a cat in it. So there's a saying, Germans don't like to buy the cat in the bag. And like I told you with the Ratchet, nobody knows in German what it's about. So the movie has another title, The Witch Next Door. So, but that's not what I was talking about. I have bought a music CD from a band that's very long in the business. And if you buy a CD from that band, you don't buy the cat in the bag. You always know what you're getting. Can you perhaps imagine what I was talking about? And
I don't want to guess.
Then riddle me this, Rob. In our beloved MCU, which was the first song in the first movie you heard?
Iron Man.
Iron Man, but what was the first song that played in that movie? Military Convoy was coming up.
Was it AC/DC?
Yes, Rob. It was AC/DC. AC/DC has a new album out since yesterday called Power Up.
Wow.
And if you buy an AC/DC album, you get AC/DC. You don't buy the cat in the bag with AC/DC. It's a nice holdout.
Wow.
And like singer Brian Johnson says, the lyrics don't have to have verisimilitude. Only the first line have to rhyme with the second or the third. That's enough. So one of the line goes in the single Shot in the Dark. A shot in the dark beats a walk in the park.
Well, you know what they say. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, Dieter.
That's right. And they never change their style, never change, look for what is the new trend or what is, do we have to change or experiment? Of course, you like albums more than others, but you always know what you're getting if you buy an AC/DC album. You don't buy the cat in the bag.
Right.
So, then I got what you got last week. I got my Vendetta 4K.
Nice. That's such a great cover.
I like the cover, but it's just the standard. Then, what makes a crazy collector? If you got something already on streaming and buy it anyway. Like you told me, you gave me that great tip, because on Netflix I was really amazed by The Night Comes for Us, and you gave me a great tip where you can buy Netflix stuff. Where can you buy Netflix stuff on Blu-ray, Rob?
We here at Let's Get Physical Media do not advocate piracy in any way, shape, or form, because it takes away from the business. It makes independent horror harder to make. It's bad all the way around. But that said, if you want to get something on physical media, and streaming is not always the best, it's not always optimal. If somebody's going to put out something, for instance, Criterion this week is putting out The Irishman. Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. That obviously was a Netflix movie, but Netflix graciously allowed Criterion to put out The Irishman, which I am going to purchase. But there is a company that I discovered. I discovered them because you can get all kinds of interesting things, like Disney's Song of the South, or you can get Dragon Slayer, Paramount's Dragon Slayer, beautiful Dragon Slayer. They probably took it off Amazon Prime somehow. I don't begin to guess. I bought the Star Wars Holiday Special, The Ritual, the Netflix movie The Ritual from them.
Okay.
And this company is called Stinky Tuna. And I think by reporting on them, I hope the police, or I hope the Hollywood studios don't come after them. But I have to say that for a company that sells, let's say, perhaps not the most legal copies, they certainly do a good job. They have impeccable customer service. I love their packages come shrink wrapped. I think that they do a wonderful job of what they do. So good on them. What did you buy from Stinky Tuna?
No, I didn't buy it from Stinky Tuna something. I just wanted to tell you that even if I have this one as streaming on my digital purchases, a crazy collector buy it on physical media afterwards. I did buy, I don't know if you know this sci-fi series, Killjoy.
Oh.
I really like it. It's got 5 seasons. Every 5 seasons is in it. And I already purchased all 5 seasons on Amazon Instant Video. So I already have it in my streaming library. But it had a nice price and I liked it. So I bought it. And Hannah John Kamen will be next year seen in the Resident Evil remake. It brings us back to episode last week. She will play fan favorite Jill Valentine. And the crazy thing about that show, what I didn't know that Sean Ashmore has a twin brother called
Yes.
Aaron Ashmore. I didn't know that at all. I was very confused at the end of the show. What, Aaron Ashmore? But it's Sean. And then I had to look it up, and I didn't know that he had a twin brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really like it. Killjoys and Hannah John Kamen, when she plays in Resident Evil next year, it won't be the first time she plays in a video game because she was in the Tomb Raider with Alicia Vikander. It was just a small role. So I bought Killjoys, even if I had it on streaming already. This was this. Then I bought this one, The Bride with White Hair.
Oh, I love that. That's a great film.
From Ronnie Yu, who directed later Bride of Chucky and Freddy vs. Jason. And I actually don't quite know the movie, Rob. So it will be, I guess, my first time. It's from, I have to check, which is the company? Is it Eureka? Yes, Eureka. It's from a 4K restoration.
So that's from the UK.
It's from the UK, yes. The Bride with White Hair. Then from AC/DC to Whitesnake, but it's not about the hard rock band. This is a Chinese animation movie. I stumbled across a review, really liked the review, and thought, well, let's put it in the basket, in the shopping basket. It's a little book. It comes with a 30-page booklet.
Wow.
German. It's a Chinese animated movie, but I haven't seen it. Like you see, it's still wrapped in its packaging. And an older, from the cover, I would say video nasty, but I don't know the movie. It's from 2015, Last Girl Standing.
Oh, that's a great cover.
It looks like a video nasty to me, Rob, but I don't know the movie. So this is buying the cat in the bag, because I don't know what I bought with this one. So this is all the stuff I got this week.
Well, it's a fine haul. I some of the things I wanted to show you, one of them you had sent to me, but I figured, I guess I'll show you now what I acquired this week. Now, this was something I was really looking forward to from 1984. This had come out previously on Blu-ray, but this is a new restoration. This is from Arrow, their new Last Starfighter disc. Again, Arrow does such a great job. This is, again, chock-a-block full of stuff. Yeah, it's reversible. It's got the original movie. It's got the original movie poster as the reversible cover. It comes with the new artwork. It's got a great booklet. I mean, this is what Arrow does best. I'm a huge fan of Arrow. I think they're probably one of my favorite video companies. They just do a terrific job. Yeah, it's terrific. It looks great. I mean, obviously, if you haven't seen this film, the film I think really holds up. The visual effects were done CG, so they're very early, and they look it. But there's something charming about that. Yes, I mean, really, if you think about it, like they used in 1982, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, the Genesis tape that they play, that was all CG, and then of course Tron. About 15 minutes of Tron was entirely CG, and which is amazing. And so, Last Starfighter was really the third film that used CG extensively, and it's quite extensive for all the space stuff. So, it's an artifact of its time, but it's a really sweet movie. I really liked it, and it's great to have this great edition from Arrow. They really do such a wonderful job giving us new special features and interviewing the cast and crew, and you really get a lot of insight into the film. So that's very exciting. Well, yeah, they're talking about it. I mean, Jonathan Batul, who wrote The Last Starfighter, has been talking about, I think they're going to make a continuation of it. Like, I don't know if it's a reboot as much as it is a true sequel, which is, I like that. I like this trend of making sequels to things that are like 30 years old. Creed being a sequel to, I mean, obviously they made Rocky sequels, but it's still in that universe. Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid show, that who would have thought that? It's unbelievable. Yes, and when they're done well, I mean, I think there's nothing better than revisiting these characters. They bring back the actors 30 years later, and there's something really charming about it. I mean, it began the trend for me. I remember watching Color of Money, where Paul Newman comes back, and Scorsese directed that. It was sort of he was kind of after his career was sort of not, it wasn't anywhere good. He made The Color of Money, and it really brought his career back. That led to Goodfellas, and he's had a vibrant 30 years since then. But that was, again, The Queen's Gambit that's on Netflix now, which is amazing, is based on a novel by Walter Tevis. And Walter Tevis wrote The Hustler, where Paul Newman played Fast Eddie Felson, which was turned into a film in the 60s. And Color of Money, Paul Newman comes back in the mid-'80s, and he plays Fast Eddie Felson again. Who would have thought that would have worked? But it did, and it was great. And I love when they do that. So I would love to see a Last Starfighter reboot where it's set in the same continuity and they tell a new story, because especially how video games, 36 years later, video games have become so much more sophisticated now. Imagine what you could do. And, of course, the visual effects would be astonishing. So let's hope that happens. The Queen's Gambit is done. It was based on a book. It was seven episodes, and the story's finished. I mean, okay. I think it's because it's going to be successful. They could make another one. I hope they don't, because the story's over, although the character's compelling. It's just that then they would be off book, and do I want to see that?
We all know how that goes.
Yeah, not usually well. Not usually well. So the next thing I wanted to show, this comes from the Australian label Imprint. I think I called them Insignia in the last episode, which I apologize for. So Imprint has been putting out some interesting stuff, things that have been released before. They're doing new discs. They originally put out earlier this year War of the Worlds, the original 1953 War of the Worlds, before Criterion did. And when I was a kid, War of the Worlds was my favorite movie of all time. But coming in a close second was George Pal, the producer's other film, When Worlds Collide. And I have wanted to get this on Blu-ray forever. I was hoping that somebody would do a box set of George Pal's early movies, like Destination Moon, War of the Worlds, Conquest of Space, and When Worlds Collide. And this is a Paramount film like War of the Worlds, and they've never put it out. They've never put it out in Blu-ray, and this is, again, it's a beautiful special edition. I love that. I love what Imprint is doing. You know, it's slipcased, and they even have, I love the artwork of the space arc on the disc. I mean, but just to have this in Blu-ray, I love this film, George Pal's science fiction epic. And again, the fact that it comes in a slipcase, it's just great. And I'm really happy to have this. It's something I've wanted since 2007, since I started buying Blu-rays. I've owned this in various formats. I had it on VHS, I had it on Laserdisc, and I had it on DVD, and now I finally have it on Blu-ray. So I got this again, and Imprint does a great job. They're in Australia. They also have put out The Outer Limits, the original Outer Limits TV series, in a definitive set. There's more special features than the one Kino put out. So if you go to their website, Imprint, they put out Ridley Scott's The Duelists in a new edition. They do a really, really good job, so I'm very happy to have this. So the next thing you actually got sent to me, and again, this comes from Second Sight, the company that's putting out the Dawn of the Dead box set. This was sort of unexpected. I didn't expect them to put this out, but I had to get it because it's such a great special edition. Brian Bertino's The Strangers. Now, again, this comes in a beautiful slipcase box. I love this sort of matte finish. And this comes not only the disc, and it's got great special features and new interviews and everything, but this also came with a pretty extensive book that has a number of different essays and examinations of the film, a lot of great, obviously, stills from the movie, and really, really, really terrific. And it also came with the poster of this new art that they did that I actually really, really like. I mean, I don't know if when posters come in these books, if anybody ever does anything with the posters, but I mean, Arrow does that with their new artwork. I do appreciate it. I mean, one day, I mean, maybe I would do something with these posters, but I don't, like you, when something comes in a package, I don't like to take it out and like put it up. I like to leave it in the package.
It wouldn't go very good since it's folded.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that most older movie posters were folded, but when they're smaller, yeah. And I just have to say, anything that Second Sight puts out is like worth getting, because it is a prestige. You got me their version of Revenge that they put out. I talked about last week how Betty Blue was their first special feature or special edition that I had bought, because it has both the theatrical version and the longer version. That was the first time you could get the longer version. I really like their packaging. It's very heavy duty. It's very nicely printed, and their transfers are great, and their special features are definitely worth looking at. So good stuff. Again, I mean, I wish Second Sight, I wish you would send your packages and your movies directly to the United States, because I would buy them. I don't know why, as a loyal customer, like, you're only selling Dawn of the Dead in the UK. I'm sure it's a licensing issue, but it's very annoying. But I still love the company. So good on Second Sight. Again, Brian Bertino, one of the producers on this movie was Roy Lee, who brought a lot of the J-horror films to America. He produced things like the remake of The Ring and The Grudge, and he's also a producer on the It films and the upcoming miniseries of The Stand. He was a producer on this, so he's sort of a horror impresario, so that's great, and it's great to have this movie in this form. So
it's nice you can get a movie like this, which is really a nice little indie hit, I would say, but not really big in such a package.
And again, when I first saw this movie, I was a little annoyed by it, to be honest. By the end of the movie, I'm like, really? That's it? Because you were home? That's why? But I've come to like it. I think it's very effective, and I think it's really well done. And Brian Bertino has a new movie out that is produced by Adrian Biddle, which I want to talk about later on this show. Not today, but in the future. And we'll talk about that. But so those are my acquisitions for the week that I wanted to discuss.
Okay, so that's all we got this week. So it's time for our second part, special editions.
So take it away. What are you going to show us today?
I thought, since you and Elizabeth doing Bond marathons, I put out a Bond box. It's the 50-year box.
It's so great.
Perhaps you got it yourself. It, of course, didn't has placeholders for the
Skyfall.
Skyfall you can put in it,
still,
but not the snooze fest Spectre.
No.
And when we can see No Time to Die, no one knows. These are two books. Wait, this is the later one. This is the first one. From 62 to 81.
Yeah, this is just a beautifully designed package.
Definitely. With the discs. And since you're doing the movies, I'm really looking forward to the GoldenEye review of you two. It would be more nice if they were in 4K. So perhaps I have to do your trick.
And replace them when they
switching with this stuff.
I mean, I'm going to do that.
And the second one, more the modern stuff.
Dalton, he looks good as Bond. And I love how they focus on the year of release too. I really like that a lot.
definitely. And you could put Skyfall in it.
Yes.
Skyfall had a placeholder for it.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
You've got a bonus disc. So this was the first special edition I wanted to show. And the second one, Rob, I told you last week that I really like digipacks, even if they're not probably the staplest of editions, because the glue can sometimes get loose after 1 year.
You know, we call them digipacks in America.
Digipacks.
Because like digital packs.
Digipacks. And we all like steelbooks, of course. What if I can show you an edition where you got both worlds in one package? You got a steelbook and a digipack inside. Last week we went to Japan and Italy. Now we go to my neighbors and friends, and they did bring this beauty out.
Oh, so that's a steelbook with a digipack inside of it?
But normally you would call that more a tin than a
Yeah.
steelbook.
That, I didn't even know they made that. That is so cool. I love Dread.
And Dread is, of course, embossed here. So, and inside we have a little comic, but unfortunately it's in French, so Elizabeth would have to help me to read it, the comic.
Wow.
Black and white. It's not very big. And inside we've got a digipack.
That's amazing. That is so cool.
Of course, it has the 3D in it.
Yeah.
And the back.
Wow. That's beautiful.
That's really a nice edition of Dread. And Rob, you shouldn't tell that anybody. I have an embarrassing story about seeing Dread.
Oh, well, then you're going to tell it. You're going to tell it to us, aren't you?
When I first got the US version, the 3D Blu-ray, a friend came over and we watched 2 3D movies, which I normally don't suggest because 3D, I like it, but it's really restraints on the eyes if you do too much of it. And after we watched Resident Evil Retribution, he wanted to watch Dread from the American 3D Blu-ray. And you have a Panasonic yourself, and I don't know if it's the same for you. You don't get notice that the battery of the active shutter glasses are off.
No.
Oh, okay. Me neither. So, but the curious thing had happened, Rob. My active shutter glasses switched off. The battery was out. But the Oppo player didn't play the 3D image. It just played, even if I put it on 3D, it put out only one of the 2 images.
Oh,
so
no.
For me, the active shutter glasses was off, but for me, the picture was all right because it was just 2D.
Right.
And I thought, Rob, it was 3D. So much about my knowing of 3D because you have always the hallways, in Dread. So I thought it was 3D. But my friend, his active shutter glasses worked, but he didn't get the second picture. So the active shutter glasses always tried to put something together that wasn't there. But my friend didn't tell me anything because I didn't complain. For me, it was okay. It was just 2D.
Is that a German thing? Like he thought it was all okay, but didn't want to say anything?
I guess so. and I thought, 3D was nice, a little bit subdued, and he didn't tell me anything that he had problems. The whole movie, I can imagine, because if the active shutter glasses work, or the 3D image works, and the 3D shutter glasses switch off, you immediately know you see double picture. Okay, the battery has switched off. But since the Oppo displayed only one picture, for me it was all right to watch the movie. But for him, it must be a headache 10 times.
Oh my God!
And after that, I had look it up on the internet. There was a problem with this. You had to clear the cache of the Oppo. And had you cleared the cache, the 3D image would be All right. And the next day, I switched it on, and so that's how 3D really looks. And I called him, dude, you have to come over again. We have to watch Dread again. The 3D of the movie is awesome. And I told him, dude, the next time, tell me if there's something wrong with the presentation, that you have trouble with the picture. Because for me, it was the active shutter glass was off, and the display was only one picture. For me, it was just watching the film in 2D. And I thought it was 3D, which it wasn't, Rob. That's my embarrassing story of watching first time Dread.
And a fine story it is.
So I told him, please tell me the next time if we watch 3D and something isn't right for you. Okay. That was my 2 special editions.
All right, I have one this week, and it's one of my favorite special editions of all time. It really is. So many people know that I think, and I think a lot of people think this, that Breaking Bad, the TV series Breaking Bad, is one of the great TV series of all time. Well, when the series was over, they made the complete Breaking Bad series, and it's one of the great special editions, and I have it right here. So, if you know the show, the 50-gallon oil drum is very important to the money. The money is not the money is not in it, but you know what is in it. So, and this thing is heavy. It's very substantial. So, the first thing it has in it, you pop the top, and it has a documentary on the making of the show that's in the top of the oil drum. And then it does come, and it comes with the Walter White, if you want to undo it, the yellow, you can make meth in this suit, I guess. And it also comes with this challenge coin. Heisenberg, I mean, this is pretty substantial too. It's metal. And then this documentary is actually a really great, turn it up, it's a really great documentary on the making of the show. So that's in the top of this. But now what's really great, and this is so cool, is that, hang on, I don't want to drop this. So the oil drum opens up, and you've got a booklet here, a great booklet. But each season, I mean, it kind of looks like something from a Mission Impossible movie, but each season are in these magnetized plastic that has the Blu-rays, so it all comes apart. So and then each season, as you can see, fits in here. Now, it's amazing. I don't even know who designed this, but it's so cool that somebody spent the time and effort and the money. And if I had made a show like Breaking Bad, which is a beloved show that's groundbreaking, I would want the studio to treat my show like this. And this is, I think, of all the television shows ever made, this is probably the greatest packaging ever. And I mean, it's just the best thing ever. And what's really interesting is I have action figures of both Walter White, Heisenberg, and Saul. And I need to get Jesse Pinkman. Yes. And this is almost a 6th scale oil drum. So I look forward. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to pose my Breaking Bad action figures with this. And if you love the show, I mean, I love seeing this up on the shelf. It's one of my favorite special editions they've ever done. I don't know if you can get this anymore, but I had to. I'll tell you something. I had never seen Breaking Bad. I'd seen the first episode. I never watched the show until I bought this set, and I sat. Oh, when I was obsessed, I started watching this and I was obsessed, and I was so happy that I purchased this special edition. Because, like what we talked about, I think one of the things that we've talked about on the show is part of the reason it's fun to get these special editions is that the way we feel about something is reflected in the special edition. And if you have a favorite movie, what's that?
Like with the Dread tin.
Yes, like with the Dread tin. If you like something, you want it to feel special because DVDs and Blu-rays and 4K discs, they're pretty insubstantial. They're these tiny little pieces of plastic and metal, and they're not. This has weight to it. You take it off. It's almost like the idol that Indiana Jones finds in the temple at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Putting the sand and it honors to me when I pick this up all the talented writers and directors and Vince Gilligan, the creator, and all the actors. I mean, having something like this honors all of the creativity that went into making that show. So, I love when they do something like this, and usually they don't do very many of them. And once they're gone, and then they are expensive on the secondary market. But this is easily one of my favorite special editions of all time. So
cool that oil drum.
I know, right? It's so, I love it so much. But yeah, so that is my choice to show this week, and now of course we have the upcoming. What do we have? What are you looking forward to? That's coming out in the coming weeks.
We only have one thing to discuss for next week. What's coming out? Everything else falls aside.
It's true, but I did want to mention, because we talked about it last time, but there's a couple of things that have gone up for pre-order that I really want, and one of them, do you know the Ip Man movies?
Ip Man 4K box.
with Donnie Yen, yes.
Yes.
There is a complete,
but it's not for pre-order yet, or is it?
Yeah, the Ip Man Complete Collection 4K box set just went up for pre-order on Amazon. It's going to come out on December 15th. It went up this week.
That early.
What's that?
That early. I really would have thought it would come out next year.
Yeah, it's coming out on December 15th, and they just put it up for pre-order. So I had to get on it. I mean, I've got the other Ip Man movies. I have a really cool Ip Man box set already, but it's not 4K. So this is all four Ip Man movies in 4K with Donnie Yen.
Ip Man, the end of the line for Ip Man.
End of the line. Now Ip Man's done, and you know that getting this special edition is all that you need. And now I also wanted to say that there's a couple of great. Another thing that I'm really looking forward to is Francis Ford Coppola has recut The Godfather 3 into Mario Puzo's The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. That's coming out. Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor Uncut, the 4K version is coming out. Those come out on the same day on December 8th. Also coming out on September 8th is Cinema Paradiso in 4K, which I can't wait to get. And the Top Gun Steelbook, the 4K Steelbook, comes out on December 1st. Finally. So I have those on pre-order. Another Collateral, another Tom Cruise movie, is coming out on 4K as well. So those are things that I have pre-ordered, and I'm very much looking forward to getting. But now back to the elephant in the room.
The Dawn of the Dead box. I hope everything goes according to plan. And perhaps we can have both it end of next week. Let's see. As soon as I have got the shipping emails, you will know it.
Now, are you as excited about the Dawn of the Dead box set as I am?
Perhaps not as excited as you are, because for you it's your favorite movie. But Dawn of the Dead has to be in the collection. I don't have as much Dawn of the Dead editions as you, but I still have the Laserdisc, I think, but not a Japanese one. I think it was a US one, and some DVDs, I believe. And I don't think. And I have the Italian 4K, the Accendo cut.
Yeah, which you'll get again. It'll probably be even better. I mean, it's very interesting because Dawn of the Dead is one of those films. I mean, Richard Rubenstein, the producer, really sat on those elements. And I remember I saw the one thing that it doesn't have in it is they did a 3D version of Dawn of the Dead,
What?
but it's not good because they didn't go back in and recolor time the movie first. So the 3D version is very drab. It's I went and saw it in the theater and it's not good. I was not impressed. But with this new release, I mean the three different versions of the movie, this is going to be the definitive again. It's going to be the end of the line for Dawn of the Dead, a movie that I've been, a fan of for 41 years, buying every different incarnation of it that's really ever come out, and now I can put it to bed. It's like for the rest of my life, I will now have the definitive Dawn of the Dead, and it's sort of strange because I've always looked forward. I don't look back, and the fact that we're still getting one of the great things about collecting movies is we really are getting the best versions that we've ever seen of films. And I think people have learned not to use too much DVNR and things like, so we don't get the garbage of like when Patton first came out or Predator first came out.
Yeah.
They wanted to make movies look like Pixar films. They wanted to scrub away all the grain, and people realized, no, that's not what you want, because when you're using DVNR, basically you're blurring the image to get rid of that grain. You're blurring it out, and that's not good. Nobody wants that. So now the transfer technology, when people are taking the time to do it right, we're getting wonders. I mean, it's just amazing the kind of stuff that we're getting. So I'm very excited to get Dawn of the Dead in its definitive format.
And even if your Halloween season or horror season with Elizabeth is over during October, but you push Dawn of the Dead out. So I hope if you get that box, you watch it with Elizabeth, and we get an Elizabeth.
Yeah, we will 100%. I told her we're going to wait for that. We have not done Dawn of the Dead for Elizabeth Hughes. I've been waiting to see this new transfer and show it to her, and it's always fun. So it's going to be interesting because look, the one thing about Dawn of the Dead is, in our post-Walking Dead environment, when there's been 100 different zombie movies, the visual effects, especially what you can do with rotting corpses now using CG, and you can see through them, and it's amazing what they can do on TV with Walking Dead. Going back and watching Dawn of the Dead, which is now 41 years old, the makeup effects, they're still great, but the blood is very red. It's very, I mean, again, it's a movie that's almost half century old. It's less than a decade away from its 50th anniversary. So while it set the tone and was so influential, audiences discovering it today might laugh at it a little bit, but I never will, because I grew up with it and I saw it when it first opened. I saw it opening weekend in Seattle. So I can't wait.
Like you said, if you're growing up now with Walking Dead, harking back to episode 1 with Resident Evil, one of my main criticisms that I found the Resident Evil movies a little bit lackluster when it comes to gore and such stuff.
Yes.
Considering what you get with Walking Dead and others, and other zombie series.
Well, I think, with Resident Evil, they were very mindful of the fact that it was a video game franchise, and they wanted to not alienate their younger audiences, so they didn't lean heavily into the gore, because then you would have lost a lot of the gamers that loved, you would have had 14-year-old boys going, why can't I see an R-rated, But they still, I mean, one of the things about what I like about the Resident Evil movies is the production value. And the fact that Resident Evil is much more, it's not just zombies, there's creatures, and there's AI, and there's so it's kind of it's a great melding of science fiction and horror.
It's a hybrid of action, horror, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Made on a I would say good budget. They're not overpriced.
No. Well, listen, we've sort of come to the end of this show. I think the show even ran longer than we thought it would. It's so much fun to do these things. But episode 2 of Let's Get Physical Media, I think another successful episode. It's a lot of fun doing these shows with you. I find it fascinating that we have the technology where we can, a year ago, I didn't really know you. And now we're doing a show together about our mutual love of physical media. I think this is what's so great about the modern age, is that we have this kind of technology. I can make a friend on the other side of the world, and on a weekly basis we can share our passions with the world with the advent or with the use of modern technology. It's amazing.
That was exactly what I was talking about with a friend this afternoon when I said, okay, the 80s was great, but look what we can do now. I can talk with a guy that I met on YouTube, and now we're doing a show together. How crazy. How crazy is this?
It's crazy, but I think if more people would do these kinds of things, and plus collaborating on the other side of the planet, like I've been to the German airports. I've never spent any time in Germany, and I mean I want to see Munich, I want to see Berlin, and so I'll Frankfurt, whatever. I'll have to stop and get you, and we'll have to drive around the country, and then we'll do an actual on the road. Let's get physical media, because you can take me to all the German techno record stores in Berlin, so I can buy some vinyl.
Zum Weihnachten, richtig.
By the way, let's give it up for the German courts for finally acknowledging techno music as real music. That happened this week.
I didn't was aware of that, Rob.
Yes, so good on Germany for recognizing techno as a legitimate music. Good for you guys.
You had a court. You need a court for figuring that out.
Sometimes you do.
Okay, Rob, we're finished. Looking forward for both of us to getting that box set and what else will come next week. And I will get a package ready, because the stuff is piling up, and there are already new stuff coming next week for you, because there will be 3 Days of the Condor, the 4K steel, and Serpico should come out next week.
Right.
As the 4K editions.
And I think I should mention that this week Criterion announced, I think it's their February titles, and they announced that a movie that I have been one of my favorite 70s conspiracy thrillers that was a huge influence on the X-Files, a movie called The Parallax View, starring Warren Beatty and directed by Alan Pakula, is coming out. And I have been waiting for this film. I even wrote a letter to Paramount once going, why is this not out on Blu-ray? I have the DVD. I love it when a 4K or a Blu-ray disc or a 4K disc comes out, and I can replace my DVD that's in my shelf. Just take the DVD out and toss it. But they announced that The Parallax View is coming out, so good on Criterion. And by the way, do you ever buy anything from the Criterion sales that Barnes and Noble has?
I don't know how I could make use of that if I can order from Barnes and Noble internationally. And actually, at the moment, I don't think that Criterion has something that I really wanted immediately to purchase.
Well, they have coming out this month is their Federico Fellini box set, their huge box set, and I pre-ordered that, so I can't wait to get that.
But they always do a great job. I remember that my first Laserdisc was the RoboCop edition.
Oh, that was a great disc too.
With the unrated cut for the first time.
Yeah, for the first time.
It was insane.
All right, well, I guess we are at the end of Let's Get Physical Media episode 2. And very exciting. We're in mid-November, going into the holiday season, and there's a lot of good stuff coming out in December. A lot.
Definitely. It's still alive, physical media.
It is still alive, and it's going strong. And on that note, we wish you both a farewell. Do you want to say anything to the audience? If people want to write us letters, they can. We encourage viewer feedback. Please send us letters. You can go to the Burnettwork.net website, and on the top right corner there's a place to send us letters. Just put in the subject line or just put in the subject line "Get Physical." That's all you have to do, and we'll know that you sent us a letter, and we will read it on the show.
Okay. Thanks to the community for all the nice comments for episode 1. I hope we will get only better show more crazy stuff that will come out, and everyone is welcome. Like I said, even pure streamers or video gamers, get your Xbox, get your PS5, start collecting.